Castor oil?
Oh, yes. Castor
Hot
oil.
liver oil?
Yes.
Castor oil, boy, I tell you.
Castor oil.
And now just, you can drink it if you want to. It doesn't taste bad, you know, it's a little greasy. But boy, then it was nasty stuff.
Yes. And like I said, if you had a toothache, and then you always drink sassafras tea in the spring, because you know what that did? Bend your blood. For the summer, and a lot of the people had their, before they went to bed, they had their little snifter, is that what they called it, wine, you know? And there was like a sleeping pill, just drink a little bit of wine, like that thing full, and made you go to bed and sleep well.
There were a lot of different remedies, you just depend on where you went, you know. One fellow came in the store and he had, what's on here, black marks, so you could see they were embedded in the skin, a couple of bad ones. And I said, what happened to you? He said, well, I hit myself with an axe there and apparently really cut in right through this web here. And he said, they took me and got a big bunch of cobwebs, slapped them on there and bandaged it up. And the cobwebs were still, he was tattooed.
Anyway, that's mine. I had a little bit that I wanted to get through.
Well, yeah, well, go on to Christmas a bit.
Okay, he's got the Christmas going.
Christmas was a time they always locked the doors and had a tree and decorated it, and it was a big secret. When Santa Claus, he came at a certain time, and
yes,
you had to go to church, and then when he came back, he'd done it. And we had, it was always cedar trees those days. Now, pine trees were unheard. There were no pine trees around here. It wasn't a question, did you want it? I guess if you were rich enough, you could have had some shipped in from down south or up north, but they didn't do that. You just chop down a cedar tree. Cedar trees are regular bomb. You know, when it gets a little dry, I mean, they'll go off like a bomb. And we had candlelights for them, and of course, there wasn't much time that it burned. A few minutes, and everything had to be strategically arranged, and a bucket of water handy, because it could blow on you. And with the lights for this, I have made a sample. This is a counterweighted lamp. And we'll put it down here. And set it on fire.
all right.
Do you like it? Sing a song.
So we're okay.
Jingle bells, okay.
Get it started.
Jingle bells,
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Hey, jingle bells, jingle. That's it.
Yeah, there it is. And we let those trees, kids, of course, were not allowed to mess with a tree or even get near it while those things were going. 2 or 3 minutes, and it was all over. And it was present time and so on. Well, that's some of the good old days.
That's right.
I always wondered how they kept the candles on, but they had a counterweight like that.
My wife said, when I made this one, said, we had clip-on ones, apparently a little clip-on with a spring, but that's not what we had.
And only the more wealthy people had these, you know. In the country, you just had to plant no tree and you'd string popcorn.
Yeah, we'd string popcorn, yeah.
String
We'd do
popcorn
that. Yeah, that was part of the decorations.
And do those things.
We didn't have many decorations. Hey, we had 2 or 3 decorations.
Yeah, you had a few that they passed down from just tradition to pass down these, and then finally they get so old they fall off the trees. But they were some kind of balls and things like they do now, only very simple.
Yeah, they were crude. They were much cruder than they are now. Know how to make them better.
Yeah, if you had a lot of those while you were very...
Oh, one thing about the flood I wanted to add about my uncle. I went into the Doc Becker's dentist shop. Oh, it was 60s and the 70s, I don't know. And Doc said, You remember the flood? Yeah, I said, yeah, I remember. He said, Henry came in here and told me we were gonna have high water. And I said, you're right, think it's so, Henry? He said, yeah. And he said, I took his advice and they moved up there in the old Parkview Hospital, that corner of the park, the old building up there. That's where he was and another doctor or two went in there and they gave shots during the flood. And he did his dentist work. And he said, I said to Henry, he said, how high you think it's gonna get, Henry? And he had a little, on that wall, a window, and that was the office, and his wife stood back there and took the money. And he said, Henry went over to that thing, he looked, first he went to the door, he looked up the street, and he looked down the street. Of course, he was estimating the slope. And he said he made a pencil mark there it was painted white frame. He said he missed it an inch. Henry told me, my best mark was that when this stuff came up, oil from the filling stations came bubbling up. Oil from the factory, drums turned over. There was a skims that was all over that, and you could see where it was. There it was, across that, you know. And every place you looked, you could see exactly where it was. But it stayed up there about a week, striped about that wide. He said, that was my best place, that I hit it right on the head.
Henry, did you say it was Dr. John Mark? Or?
John Becker.
Who? Becker.
Duke Becker.
Okay, I missed the name.
Down there, 2 doors from, what's in there now, the,
Dr. Glenn, how about him?
Toe doctor, foot doctor.
Well, Dr.
No.
Next to the,
Yeah.
foot doctor there.
yeah.
Dr. Glenn would have been on Main Street too, and
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Hargis was over here on the hill, so he
Becker.
didn't have to move. But I don't know
No.
about some of those.
Al, was there a great fear, you're talking about the oil and the water and all that, had to be a lot of volatile with the chair companies and all that. Was there a lot of fear about fire?
Well, there was, on this, you can't see it on that picture I gave you on the corner. If you look hard, you see a sign on that telephone post that's on the corner about this big, and it said, no smoking, gasoline on the water. I really don't think there was enough of it to actually catch, but, you know, it's a possibility.
Well, you know, the chair companies had to use all kinds of varnishes and
Yeah, that varnish went in, you know.
tinners.
And that would float on top.
Yeah,
See?
it all goes on top.
If you got it on fire, it burned town down.
It was the same as a Katrina. I mean, it was just as bad as what Katrina was in New Orleans. I mean, not as widespread, but it just wiped our city out, really. The down part.
Our water was 7 feet 4 inches in the house.
Wow.
And her mother caught a fish in the house, a bass.
At that time.
Well, unless there's some other questions, something that you want to ask about that.
Well, this is, I've always wanted to know, this is the Haynes Company left and all that. In 1937, you were 16, you said?
Yeah.
You was about 16, so you was about, back in the 30s. And this is what, how many Afro-Americans or blacks were in Tell City, black families?
Well, the Slaughter family, they were worked here, but they didn't live here. I don't think they were.
Phil Laurie.
Yeah, Peter Laurie.
How many were there, 10, 20?
He was about 2, 3, 5, something maybe.
The Slaughter family plus these other 2 guys, and they were here, they would leave and go back to Kentucky. The law in Tell City was, blacks could not be in Tell City after dark.
They didn't
Before
say
that, there were a lot
that.
of blacks, because there was black schools here.
Yes, we
Yeah, they
did
had
at one
black
time.
schools.
Yeah,
But
we're trying to
then,
figure
when it
out
went out,
when they left, was 1897 when they built City
I don't
Hall?
know.
And you can see the blacks were, all our pictures picking up chairs.
Yeah.
There was quite a few blacks in the construction, but that was 1897. So when did they leave? I'm trying to pinpoint that.
Well, there just never was any here that speak of outside of the Laurie family and the Slaughter family
they had.
that came across the river and worked.
I don't think
The
they
black
had the
schools
law here.
are, pardon?
I don't think they had that law here about not being in here at night.
No, that was Troy.
It was at
Troy had that law.
Okay. One of them
Troy,
was,
they definitely had the law.
Now Henry,
They didn't, just because.
yeah, I remember Henry, because
Yeah.
he was the elevator, they used to say in 1950. If some woman needs to go up to the hospital, they call for Henry, and he just pick her up. Carry her
Take them
up.
upstairs.
yeah, he worked for the Dr. James.
That's before my time.
And
Kathy told me about that.
And then for the Shermans, for the Shermans, they worked a long
There were
time.
3 black
Yeah,
people
they-
sit on the corner
One of them
down
worked for
here
Edgar, didn't he?
where the
Yeah.
patio pizza is, or the pizza is.
Well, you can ask John Butler. Now, John Butler,
Yeah.
to tell you more, he lived across the street from what became a colored school.
On Tell Street.
No, Wall Street. They closed that one out there. They didn't have
Yeah.
very many. And they put them in that little house right, second house from the corner,
On 12th Street.
Oh, yeah.
across from John Werner's office. The little shotgun house there. Still there. He can tell you how many there were. There weren't many.
Yellow and brown,